Okay, so today we're diving into ancient Rome.
But we're not talking togas and chariots this time.
You guys wanted Spartacus. A deep dive beyond the usual gladiator stuff.
Yeah.
And wow, this one gets deep.
It really does. And you'd think for such a big name, we'd have more to go on.
Right.
It's mostly Plutarch and Appian.
Those guys were writing, what, 100+ years after Spartacus?
Yeah, over a century later, like a giant game of historical telephone.
Makes you wonder what got lost or, embellished along the way.
For sure.
But even with that, you can tell Spartacus is more than just like the cool sword guy fighting for freedom. Right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Everyone's heard gladiator rebellion, but they miss the scale of it, the strategy. This wasn't some prison break. This was a multicultural force.
Yeah.
At its peak, 70,000 people, threatening Rome itself.
70,000. That's not a rebellion. That's practically an army. I get why Rome was freaking out. But before we get to all that, let's talk about the guy himself. You mentioned he was Thracian. What's that even mean?
So Thracian, back then, think of the area we know now as Bulgaria, that region. And the Thracians, man, they were known for being fierce warriors. Tough from living in that rugged, mountainous terrain, amazing horsemen and fighters, even before any gladiator stuff.
So he had that warrior spirit kind of ingrained already.
Exactly.
Makes you wonder how he ended up a slave in the first place.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. The sources, they're a little fuzzy, but they hint that Spartacus might have actually been a soldier for Rome before he was enslaved.
Whoa, hold on. So he was fighting for the empire that later enslaved him.
It's possible, and that just adds a whole other level to his story.
Talk about a slap in the face. Oh, you think you can enslave me?
Right. Like, was there a betrayal, or did something happen that forced him into slavery? We might never know for sure, but it definitely adds fuel to the fire of his later rebellion.
Yeah, makes it even more powerful. This stand against Rome. So how's a maybe former Roman soldier wind up at gladiator school in Capua?
Well, however it happened, he ends up at this school. And that's where that 70,000 strong army starts. And it all begins with, get this, a rebellion with kitchen utensils as weapons.
Wait, seriously? Like soup ladles and spatulas? It sounds almost comical.
Right, but it worked.
I guess desperate times. But it wasn't just luck, right? There had to be some planning involved.
Oh, absolutely. And this is where that whole Thracian warrior background comes into play. So Spartacus, he's got these 70 gladiators with him, and he leads them straight to Mount Vesuvius.
Vesuvius? You mean the volcano?
Yeah. But this was pre-eruption, so think of it as this. Natural fortress, really. Tough to attack, incredible view, easy to defend. Spartacus, he used the terrain brilliantly. That's what a good military leader does.
He wasn't just going for dramatic effect then.
Nope. And it's on the slopes of Vesuvius that this group of escaped gladiators, they start to become something a lot bigger.
I bet having all those other escaped slaves and like disgruntled locals showing up helped.
Oh yeah, their numbers exploded, and suddenly Rome's got a real problem on their hands. And to be clear, the Roman writers, they love to paint Spartacus's army as this chaotic mob,
Right.
But when you actually look at the battles they won, how adaptable they were, it's a different story.
They were giving those Roman legions a run for their money, weren't they?
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that there were like these aha moments when it came to their tactics. Like what kind of stuff are we talking about?
Well, take the winter of 73-72 BC. Most rebellions, they'd be holed up waiting for better weather.
Right.
Not Spartacus. He sees this pause in the fighting, and he's like, opportunity.
So while Rome's thinking they're out of commission, Spartacus is actually becoming more of a threat.
Exactly. Legions are huddled in winter camps, and he's got his troops training, making alliances, getting equipped, honing their skills. They're going from escaped slaves to a legit fighting force.
What kind of training, though? Did they just copy the Romans?
That's what's wild. They used Roman tactics. They'd captured equipment, figured out how to use it against them.
Yeah. So not just fighting a rebellion, but fighting a mirror image of yourself. Must mess with those Roman soldiers.
Oh, for sure. And one battle really shows this off. Mount Garganus.
Tell me more about this.
So the Romans, they had Spartacus and his guys trapped, or so they thought. 2 consuls leading the charge, big, important dudes, totally sure they've got this.
Because who could outsmart Rome?
Right. But Spartacus, he pulls off this brilliant feint and flank maneuver, splits his forces, catches the legions completely off guard.
Ouch. Bet that didn't go over well back in the Roman Senate. Talk about a blow to their pride.
Total humiliation. And what makes it even more impressive, he keeps this up while dealing with obstacles. Think about it. They're living off the land, always on the move, probably dealing with infighting.
70,000 people from all over, all with their own ideas about freedom.
Yeah.
It's got to be a lot to handle.
Like herding cats, but with way higher stakes. Makes you wonder, what was Spartacus's endgame? Was it always march on Rome?
Right. What was the goal?
Big debate. Some sources, like Plutarch, they say he just wanted to get out of Italy. Head north, maybe Gaul.
Freedom through geography. Makes sense.
Right. But then why, after that Mount Garganus win, why turn south? The path north was open.
Good point. So what did he change his mind?
Some historians think he never meant to go for Rome at all. They say that's Roman propaganda, making him seem scarier to justify being harsher.
It's a battle for the story then, too. You control the story, you control the fear.
Exactly. But whatever his ultimate goal, Spartacus was a pragmatist. When a chance popped up to ship his people to Sicily, deal with pirates, no less, he went for it.
Resourceful. But that whole pirate thing, that didn't pan out so well, did it?
Let's just say pirates aren't known for keeping their word. They took the payment then, poof, vanished, left the rebels high and dry.
Talk about a betrayal.
It's a turning point. Now Spartacus is facing the full wrath of Rome, and they are not happy.
I'd imagine not. And I'm guessing this is where we get to the whole Crassus part of the story.
Oh yeah. Enter Marcus Licinius Crassus. Rich, ruthless, and he wants Spartacus's head on a pike. They gave him 8 legions, the best of the best, to get the job done. And Crassus, he wasn't just after a win, he wanted to make an example out of Spartacus. And that's where decimation comes in.
Decimation. Yeah, that's never a good sign.
You got that right. Let's just say, if your unit showed any fear, any hesitation under Crassus, he lined them up and killed every 10th man.
Brutal. Talk about motivation through fear.
Yeah.
So we've got Spartacus, brilliant, but backed into a corner, and Crassus, with the whole weight of Rome behind him, out for blood. Where do we go from here? So it's a real showdown. Spartacus against the ropes. What happens?
He does what he does best, surprises everyone. For a while there, he's still outmaneuvering Crassus, even breaks through a Roman siege line at one point.
You still got it.
Right. Shows you, even under pressure, that tactical mind is sharp. But it's relentless, resources are low, and within the rebel army, cracks are starting to show.
All those different groups, different ideas of freedom.
It catches up to them. Some factions, they break off, try to escape on their own.
Which I'm guessing does not make things easier.
Nope. Plays right into Crassus's hands. He picks them off, weakens Spartacus's main force. It becomes a war of attrition.
And then you've got Pompey and his legion showing up, fresh from Hispania.
Talk about bad timing. The odds just swung way in Rome's favor. And Crassus, he knows he's close to winning, wants all the glory, refuses to even talk about surrender.
So much for a peaceful resolution.
Not a chance! Crassus wants Spartacus crushed. Completely.
There's that bit in Appian's account about a truce offer. What was that about?
It's weird, right? Was it real? Was Spartacus desperate? Or was he trying to mess with the Romans, make them turn on each other? We'll never know.
Because
Crassus, he doesn't even blink. Too focused on the win, on revenge.
ego and ambition.
Yeah.
Always rearing their ugly heads. So it all comes down to this final battle. Where was that even?
Historians still go back and forth on the exact spot, but somewhere near the Salaris River, southern Italy. And
Yes.
it's a bloodbath. Spartacus, though, he goes down fighting. Leads his troops right at the Roman legions, aiming for Crassus himself.
What a way to go out.
Talk about defiance. The odds were impossible, but he still charged in.
Plutarch said he was already wounded going into that last fight.
Yeah, some say he was hurt, but still fighting like a demon. Just adds to the legend, doesn't it?
Total badass. But we don't know how it ends, do we? Like, specifically.
Nope. They never found his body.
Right.
Gone. Which has led to some wild theories, of course. Did he survive? Go into hiding? Probably not, but it shows you the power of his story.
It's like King Arthur, history and legend all mixed up.
Exactly. But even though Spartacus is gone, the story doesn't end there. Rome, they make an example of the survivors, 6,000 of them,
Yeah.
crucified along the Appian Way.
Gruesome. Even in death, they're using him as a warning.
Hmm.
But it didn't really work, did it? I mean, here we are, still talking about him. So, what's Spartacus's legacy?
He's bigger than just ancient Rome, that's for sure. He became a symbol of resistance, anyone fighting against the odds. Karl Marx loved him. Toussaint Louverture led the Haitian Revolution. They called him the Black Spartacus.
Even today, you see his name everywhere. Sports teams, that ballet.
Mhm.
There's even a mountain in Antarctica named after him.
It's about the human spirit, right? Freedom, equality, A better life, those ideas never get old.
Makes you think, what would you do if you were in his sandals, facing down an empire?
Big questions. Makes you wonder, if you could challenge Rome with kitchen utensils as weapons, what are we capable of?
That's something to think about. And for everyone listening, here's one last thought. We only have one side of the story, right? What if we could hear from the people who fought alongside Spartacus, the everyday men and women of that 70,000-strong rebellion? How would their stories change how we see him and his fight? Something to ponder. Until next time.